a lot of people, you know, and I'm also now I started coaching people to do what I do and to help them build a business around multifamily rather than just becoming a real estate investor. But when you're out there and you're networking, you have to build those relationships. You have to go out there and talk to or kiss a lot of frogs, if you will, so that when you have that right deal, you can now present it to people. We go out there, you know, go out and find the deal, go out and find the deal, go out and find the deal. Great. I went out and I found the deal. It was a smoking deal. Incredible. I turned around and I said, okay, where's the money? And all I heard was crickets because I didn't do the back part of that sentence. I didn't build the relationships. I was so focused on finding the deal that I found the deal, but I didn't find the money to go along with the deal. So the first challenge that I had in business was getting credibility with brokers, right? In residential, the credibility comes with proof of funds, with a qualification letter from the lender. You were qualified. We know who you are. Okay, great. We know what your strengths are. We can find you a deal. Here, I'm going out and the brokers are going, like we said earlier, what was the first deal that you've done? Who's your team? Who's this? Who's that? So until we did that first deal in Texas with our sponsor, we didn't have credibility. It was just, you know, it's like the Lone Ranger, me and Tonto. We were just hanging out and right? Who's going to talk to us? Once we did that first deal in Texas, then we had credibility. So now brokers started calling. Hey, I heard you close on that deal. Hey, I heard you saw this. Hey, this. Plus, we sent out emails to all of our network, to the small people in our network at the time. Hey, check this out. We close on this deal. We close on that one. And that's how we got the second one coming, the one in Houston that I mentioned. The second challenge was raising capital. Where am I going to find? You know, I remember when I was a newbie going into this, I was going to all these conferences and I'm watching people on stage talking, yeah, we just raised $5 million and I just did this and we just did that and we raised $1 million here and we raised $2 million there. And I'm going, how in God's name are you doing this? What is the secret sauce? What is the one word I can tell people? All right, what could I say to you right now that would take your hand and put it in your pocket and pull out $50K, $100K? What was that secret sauce? And I was running around looking for that secret sauce. I was running around for that one sentence. What is it that people say? How did you raise $5 million? People would tell me, I don't know, I just called people. What do you mean you just called people? What is it? What was it? So moving on and learning and learning and learning, I realized that it was all about building relationships. But it's not just building relationships, it's building the right relationships with the right people. Because when I got started, my mentor was telling me, go to 2 networking events a week and collect business cards. Okay, that's what I did. Not only did I go out to 2 networking events a week, I sent my wife out and I sent her sister out. So we were going to 6 networking events a week collecting business cards. I've got shoe boxes full of business cards. Didn't do me any good because these people were not the people they weren't the right fit for what I was looking for. I was barking up the wrong trees. I was going to the wrong networking events. So then I figured, okay, what do I need to do to find the right people? Who are the right people? Then I learned that I had to create my avatars. Specific avatars, and I'm still tweaking them and building them and going. So now I have 3 specific avatars that I know that when I'm posting, when I'm talking, when I'm looking to go into a networking event, I'm going to these specific places to meet these specific people, and I'm using specific language that will hook them and trigger them into going, yeah, that's me. I want to talk to you. So that was a big challenge in the beginning, right? It's still a challenge. Because we're not raising for a fund, we're raising for one-offs, you have to now find the right property that'll match the people that you're talking to, right? Some people want Coca-Cola stocks. Some people want Tesla. Some people want Bitcoin that's going to be extremely volatile, but they can make money very, very quickly. So knowing your avatars, knowing the people that you're talking to, your network, you can now go out and find the right asset that will turn them on and say, you know what, I want to get involved in that. So that was a challenge. And then as I started building my network, I realized that if I'm raising $5 million and it's $100,000 a minimum investment, that means I need to hit a lot of people, right? I need to talk to 200 people to get 50 people to move, or even more than that. And that is a lot of work.
I was going to comment on that. That's, when we look at Nizan and we say, oh man, Nizan's got a great life. He's living the dream. And, we think about like, oh, well, I'm working so hard here. But the reality is you need to talk to, it's very similar to like what I do on a daily basis.
Sure.
You need to network. You need to meet people to sell their houses.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very
ABN,
similar.
baby.
Yeah.
ABN. Yeah. ABN and ABC.
Yep.
Always be networking and always be closing.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. It's true.
It is. So what I went and I found, and I said, okay, I still have to go talk to hundreds and hundreds of people and build my network. But let me do it a little bit smarter now as well, right? One of the avatars that I'm focusing on is someone who already has a huge network of people that have their ear. So instead of me going out and talking to 100 people, let me find that one person that already has a network of people, an influencer, someone who, someone like yourselves, right? That already you've built your network for your business. People trust you. People know you. They like you. We're here on your podcast. People are listening to you. So now we can come and build a relationship together and build a working business relationship. And then we say, okay, what kind of projects, what kind of real estate does your network like to get involved in? Well, we like 100-unit properties. We like B-class properties where it's this, and okay, great. Here you go. Here's a property. Now you take that and blast it out to your network. So instead of me doing that to 500 people, I can do it to 20 people and talk to 1,000 people, right? Mm-hmm. It's all about the numbers game. So that's what we're doing now. So those have been some of the challenges. Now, that's in acquisition of the property, right? Those are challenges on acquiring the property. Once you close on the property, that's when the fun begins. That's when the hard work begins, because you've convinced people, you've shown people this business model that you've put together, and hopefully it's a very conservative model and you're not too bullish and too aggressive on it so that you can hit your numbers. But then now you have to go and you have to implement that business plan. You've got a property management company that they want to do things their way. You've got the ownership, the general partnership that wants to do it their way. Going, hey, this is what we want. And the management company's going, yeah, but we do it this way. Well, that's great, but we want it done this way. So there's that. Then on top of that, you have the market, the government, the environment, I'm not talking, the environment, the weather and whatnot. I'm talking the economic environment. What's going on? What is the government doing to help move and fund the economy? Are they helping us or are they hindering us, right? We just came out of a 2023 year where, everybody is just thankful that this year is over and we're still alive, right? We're still breathing. We're still, oh my God, what happened, right? And we're going to feel the effects of 2023 and 24 and maybe even into 25 with a lot of foreclosures coming down because a lot of people took out variable loans, variable rates, and that shot up. No one ever thought it would go to where it went. And people going, my God, that's ridiculous. So you have all of those challenges as well that you have to prepare for. And that's why having a winning team, a team of people that understand, that have the same vision, the work ethic, the same ideas of where the ship can run, and you can foresee 25, 30 steps ahead, right? It's playing chess. Well, if this happens, what are we going to do? Well, if that happens, we're going to do like this. And if that happens, okay, where do we go? Do we have enough reserves if this happens? What do we do if rents drop down, if occupancy drops? What happens all of the what ifs you have to really foresee before you even close on the property because you want to build that into your business model. So those are some of the challenges.
And even then, there's things that you didn't foresee, which what I like to call is calling audibles. It's easy to call an audible when, like you said, Larry, it's just you or right. You and your partner. You can easily do that. You pull a little money from your bank account or whatever right. It is. But or you do a refi or a cash out or whatever it is, or maybe you sell the property early because maybe it's a wonderful audible. You're calling, like you talked about already, that you had a 5-year plan to exit the property and you exited it in year 2, which is it's a great audible. But there's lots of these audibles you're calling throughout the course of a transaction, I would think, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the world threw an audible a couple of years ago. It was the pandemic.
Yeah.
Sure.
We've never lived through anything like that. It showed me the true value of money, that it's just a made up thing, right? If the government can tell people, oh, you don't have to pay rent today. You don't have to pay your credit cards. You don't have to
work anymore.
You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, right.
But all you landlords still have to pay. How does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
So how do you, what do you do? Where do you go? And again, that also, so those audibles and how do you mitigate that? By going into specific types of assets that can withstand those types of downturns. They can withstand the 90 days, no payments or whatever it is, right? Because
like a Class C or D property, you're going to have a lot of tenants taking advantage of the eviction moratoriums that were there, versus if you're in a Class B property or certainly a Class A, you probably had little or no tenants that were taking advantage of that.
Exactly. It's a different head. It's a different head, different demographic. Sure. They think differently. Psychology. Right. The C and D residents, they don't care about their credit scores. Oh my God, I just got $100 check from the government. Guess what? I'm going to get my nails done. Right?
They live month to month, week to week, day to day.
Exactly. They're in the service-oriented industry. They're not professionals. You go into the B and A assets, you know what? Office closes down. Guess what? I got a laptop from home. I can work from home. I can go do my things. My credit is important to me. I'm going to keep paying. I'm going to figure out what I can do to stay in my house, keep my credit good, because this will end. And when it ends, I want to come out on top, not on the bottom. We're moving into student housing as well. And during the pandemic, a good friend of mine, he had 3 kids in university, one in Boulder, one in Orlando, and one in Tallahassee. I don't even know where they were. And he calls me up and he goes, Neats. He goes, I got 3 college kids living at home now. I'm paying my mortgage and I'm paying 3 rents. Still. I'm paying car payments. He goes, how do I get out of it? I said, send me the leases. I'll look at them. I'm not an attorney, but I'll look at them and see if there's, I read the leases. I said, the only way for you to get out of this clean is to pay the rent. Talk to the landlord. Maybe the landlord will be nice. Maybe he'll give you a deference. Maybe he'll give you a break. Maybe. It's all maybes. You got a lease. He spoke to the landlord. He calls me up. He goes, I got to pay. I go, well, you pay or else you're going to get dinged on the credit. And that's the beautiful thing about student housing, is that the leases are guaranteed by the parents. So if the student doesn't pay, guess what? You hit up the students. And that's why we're buying A-class student housing for that same reason. The parents don't want to get a call and go, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, we're calling about your son, Johnny, his friend, just put his head through the door and your son's not paying for it. So we're going to send you the bill. And if it's not paid in 2 weeks, we're going to go out and we're going to blah, 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 whatever, it is. And they pay immediately because I can't get my credit dinged, right? So you have all these challenges, and it's important to have a team in place, right? When it's your own property and things go sideways, you sit there and you're like, you know what? Crap. Okay. Sell it. I may lose money. But we can get rid of it. We can do something really quick. It's mine, and be done with it. In these larger assets, and you don't even have to have necessarily a huge team or be with someone. It's your own deal. You can figure out, like you said, I can call an audible tomorrow and sell it and be done with it. On these larger assets, you got to have a team. You have to have a team, because when you're sitting there on your management calls, you want to brainstorm different ideas. What can we do? How can we do? And then you feed off of people's energies, right? One person can be, oh my God, we're going to lose everything. And then the other person comes in and says, hey man, we got this. Let's figure out different solutions. Let's figure out. So you really got to have a team when you're dealing with these bigger assets. It's all part of the team.
You make such better decisions when you have other people to, act as a sounding board and brainstorm with you.
What does your team look like? Your investment team.
So right now, we've got 6 people in my company. We got 3 managing partners, the co-founders. It's myself, another gentleman who's been in commercial real estate for 20 some odd years. Started as a mortgage broker, then went as a commercial broker, leasing broker, a sales broker. Then he went into the capital markets division, and then became vice president of capital markets for hedge funds, hedge funds, REITs, family offices, institutional world. The other co-founder, been in real estate for, since 2011. He's a mortgage broker, so he's been in the debt side. I've got another partner who comes to us from the Navy, 15-year Navy pilot, Afghanistan, Iraq, all that. Now think about it. Think about it being a military pilot, right? He flew at Top Gun, right? He's one of the Top Gun pilots. Think about the mentality, the type of person that is a pilot that goes through all of that training and becomes the 1% of the 1% of the elite to be able to fly military combat planes, right?
Systems focused, discipline, right?
There is no stopping.
Yeah.
There is no quitting.
There's no failure.
There is no failure. Is blowing up my ship, blowing up the people. Right, is death. Right. There is none of that. So he's our informations officer, and he's part of my capital raising team with me. Right. So when we travel, it's me and him and our two other ladies in the company. So we just feed off of each other. And then we have, and that's Brad. Then we have Beth Underhill. She's our chief marketing officer. She comes also 25 years of construction, owns 400 units, multifamily. She owns hotels in Antigua, Belize, and all of that stuff. So she's our chief marketing officer. Then we have Biff Ramsey, who comes from student housing. He managed Blackstone's $1 billion student portfolio for them. So 25 years in student housing, 20,000 unique beds. What does that mean, unique bed? Meaning when it's a unique bed, it means that he rented out 20,000 individual beds, not to the same person, right? Because people renew. That's not part of that 20,000. That's unique beds. He's gone full cycle on 18,000 beds, been an LP and GP on 1,000 beds himself. So he comes to us from student housing. He's played with Blackstone, Landmark, all the big players. He's worked with them, managed for them. So he knows. He's our operations guy. We close on a property, we give it to Biff. He's got his operations team. And just to share with you, the two other student housing projects that we bought came from him, from his connections. But while we were under contract, we gave our business model to the current property management team, because in student housing, you're leasing up today for next year. It's not like multifamily. A lease comes in, okay, 30 days, they move in, and it's just rolling. We're leasing up now for next year. So when we were under contract in our due diligence, they started leasing up. It was leasing season during our due diligence phase. And, when an owner starts to lease, they're like, okay, we'll just lease, put another $50 on the renewals, whatnot, just to get heads in beds and be done with it. We said, no, we can't afford that. So we gave them the business model. So in one property, we wanted to take the beds to about 740, 760. We're at 910 right now. So I'm sorry. They were leasing up at 700. We wanted to take it to like 740. We gave them the business model. They started leasing up. And while we were under contract, they were already exceeding our pro forma numbers in the lease up. So when we took over, we were already above our pro forma numbers, our business model. We were proving our model during due diligence. The last one we just closed in August, that was 252 beds by Middle Tennessee State University. Down the block, literally across the street from it, I went to do the walkthrough inspections. I walked every unit. And I was sitting in the clubhouse and, the leasing office, and I'm watching students with their parents walking in and just one after another, sign a lease. Our goal was to take the rents also in that property to about 760, 770, 780 at that time. We gave them the same thing. We gave them our business model. They started pushing rents to 760, so we were hitting our pro forma numbers. Mm-hmm. I'm in the office and I'm looking and I'm talking to Biff. I go, Biff, how many more units we have to lease to renew for next year, pre-lease? He goes, about 50 out of 250. So we've got majority of them. And this is a 20,000, 30,000 student school. We don't have 1,000 beds. We got 250 beds on 20,000. We need another 50. I said, why don't we push it to 800? Worst case scenario, the leasing agents, they say, oh, we don't want 800. We'll do 785. We'll give you a discount. We're still beating our numbers. he told the management company, and the last 40 or 50 units, they were starting to lease at 800. So now we're leasing at 860, where our NOI is 18% higher than it was when we took over. So just having the right operations team in the right asset at the right location at the right time is gold, right? So that's Biff. And then who am I missing? So it's myself, Charles, Russell, Beth, Brad, and Biff. That's the core MTN investment group. And then we have an executive employee. Her name is Katie. She's our investor relations.
Great.
So she takes care of our investors, white glove. So that's the team, right? So now I don't have to worry about operations. I don't have to worry about filling out 14 different applications and putting in forms and I can focus on what I do best, which is going out there, networking, talking to people, building relationships, bringing them to the table. And when you have other people on your team, it's a volleyball game. I edify you, you edify me, we edify Larry, and everybody's happy. And people going, dude, this is a great team. I want to be a part of this. And that's what we go out and that's what we do.
It's great. Yeah, it sounds like you put a really impressive team together. A lot of people with a lot of hefty industry experience.
Absolutely.
So good, good stuff.